Travis Wayne Goodsell. The Book of Mormon has an Exodus pattern throughout the whole book. So we're going to go over that Exodus pattern for you. Mormons, for some reason, believe that if I don't talk about the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith, that I'm an anti-Mormon, antichrist, apostate, Korahar. But when I talk about the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith, Mormons consider me an anti-Mormon, antichrist, apostate, Korahar. I can never win with Mormons. So Mormons, you want to believe that the Book of Mormon is literal history? Fine, let's treat it as literal history. 1 Nephi chapter 1 verse 2. It is written in the learning of the Jews, language of the Egyptians. The learning of the Jews is the religion of the Jews. It is not Christianity. It isn't Trinity. It is non-Trinitarian Christianity. It's Jews. It specifically says in verse 4 that it is pre-Babylonian captivity Jewish Egyptians. That means pre-Babylonian captivity. Pre-586 BCE. It is not Christianity. It is not Trinity Jesus. It is not non-Trinity Jesus, because those are Christian religion. The Book of Mormon says it is not Christian. Do you not believe it? Are you offended now? Are you leaving? We just got started. Joseph Smith confirms this in section 3, verse 16 of the Doctrine and Covenants. The whole Bible, which means both the Old Testament and that New Testament, is talking about the Jewish Christ. You are following along in your scriptures? Or do you think you know it all? Or did you leave and you're gone? You were offended, you left. If the Book of Mormon can't be Christian, you're out. Despite what the Book of Mormon literally says, you're out. And so that Jesus character in the New Testament, it's not Trinity. It's not non-Trinity Christian. It's Jewish. You offended now? At what point are you going to finally be offended and leave? Because you don't believe the Book of Mormon. You don't believe Joseph Smith as a Mormon. When are you going to be offended and leave? I'm only reading from the Book of Mormon. I'm only reading from Joseph Smith. You have access to those documents. Why didn't you do it? It's the Doctrine and Covenants year. You went over section 3, verse 16. You were supposed to read it. There was a question asked. You were supposed to ask the question and answer it. Last year was the Book of Mormon. You didn't think it was actually Christian, did you? Yeah, somebody lied to you, and you're taking it out on me because you're offended. Book of Mormon. Is it true, Mormons? Or can it only be true when you alter it and fix it? So, Book of Mormon, same section, same verse. Book of Mormon is also about the Jewish Christ. So what is the Jewish Christ? Who is he? If he's not Christian, then obviously he can't be true. Who is this Jewish Christ, that we may murder him? Yeah, he's a human. Full human baby. Mortal human parents. Grows up as a human. Deuteronomy, the law of the Jews. Chapter 18, verses 15 through 19. That is the Jewish Christ. He is referred to as a man like Moses. Thus the Exodus pattern in the Book of Mormon. Because it's about the Jewish Christ. The man like Moses. Human man. Not Trinity, not non-Trinity. Human. Mortal human parents. Seed egg baby. And so the Jews are waiting for this man. The Book of Mormon says it's about that man. They give you dates. You don't believe. That one YouTube Mormon channel, they finally found out about it in 2021. They found the date, and then they screwed up the interpretation. So, 2 Nephi 25 has something very hilarious. It tells you it's prophesying, but you think this is literal history. We're gonna pacify you on that and treat it as literal history, shall we? For behold, it shall come to pass that after the Messiah hath risen from the dead. Okay, so you're thinking Roman period time. Ignore the Jewish calendars. Because they expose that there couldn't have been a Jesus from Sunday to Sunday, as Christians believe, for Passion Week, and hath manifested himself unto his people, unto as many as will believe on his name. What is his name? Behold, Jerusalem shall be destroyed again. So obviously that's 70 CE. Romans did it. Destroyed Jerusalem on 9th Ave a second time. Babylon destroyed it first. Rome destroyed it second. For woe unto them that fight against God and the people of his church. Jewish church. Not Christian. And in case you didn't know how Joseph felt about Christianity, you've ignored his first vision. Verse 19. Christianity is all wrong, abominable, and corrupt because of what they did to the Jews. But wait, keep listening. Wherefore the Jews shall be scattered among all nations by Rome. Right? Because this is literal history. It's not a prophecy. Even though it says it's a prophecy. You believe it's literal history. And so it's prophesying of literal history during the Roman period of time. Okay? So the Jews are going to be scattered when Rome destroys them. The second time. Yea, and also Babylon shall be destroyed. Wait a minute. Where's Rome? Error? Is this an error? If we're going to call this literal history, this is an error in the text. It should have put Rome, because Babylon was already destroyed. It's talking about the second destruction of the Jerusalem temple. Jerusalem shall be destroyed again. The first destruction was Babylon. This is the second destruction. Again. Please tell me you're not illiterate. This is Rome, if we're going to call it literal history. Because that's when Jesus showed to save the people with utter destruction. Now granted, Joseph Smith, in the second vision, verse 40, says, sure enough, the man like Moses is our Christ. And refers you to Acts rather than Deuteronomy, because it's precisely as it stands in our New Testament. Because there's a word change in Acts. And you're supposed to go to it to see what that word change is. Oh, yeah, destroyed. Oh, obviously. Because Jesus murdered the Jews. The second coming of the Messiah, and he murders the Jews. I'm confused. Yeah, literal history does that to you. They said it's a prophecy here. You didn't believe. You treated it as literal history. Now we've got some problems. So now we have to make stuff up to fix it. So, Book of Mormon gives you the date of when Lehi was preaching. So the first year, Zedekiah, king of Judah, phonetically the same as Utah, he has a vision. He's a prophet, and now he's a seer, having a vision. And he sees Isaiah 6:1 and 7:13 and 14. Matthew quoting Isaiah 13 and 14, but only 14. And then Herod is the 6:1. And then Revelation chapter 12, verse 1, 2, and 5. Everybody misses 5. Even I got suckered into missing 5 because it's out of order. You have to go to the Joseph Smith translation to move it to verse 3. There's the date right there. At the beginning of the Book of Mormon, we have a date. And so Lehi begins his ministry with this date. He's a prophet, he's a seer, and he receives a book just like Joseph Smith did in that second vision. Hey, it's an exact pattern match. So Joseph, talking about the Urim and Thummim for astronomy, signs in the heavens with dates. There it is. And Joseph tells us that our Christ is the Jewish Christ, a human mortal person. Interesting. And here's a date for the start of his ministry that everybody's talking about who are Jewish and wrote scriptures about the Jewish Christ, the man like Moses. So the people don't believe him. They reject the book. Do Mormons reject the Book of Mormon? Oh, you're gone. You were offended. Huh. Interesting. How did the Book of Mormon know that Mormons would be offended with their own book? Because it's not Christian. So yes, they want to murder him. And so, Exodus, just like Moses. Hey, Lehi is a man like Moses. Is the Book of Mormon literal history? We ran the test. Wait a minute, it failed. It's prophecy about the man like Moses for Mormons, who's the Jewish Christ, a human mortal baby. And in case you didn't know, Joseph Smith also tells us in section 103, verse 16, therefore I will raise up. Hey, that's the pattern match with Deuteronomy. Joseph, he's always plagiarizing. Unto my people. So Christians, right? A man who shall lead his people like as Moses led the children of Israel. For his people are the children of Israel. Hey, we have a decoder here. We can now go through all the Jewish scriptures and put the Mormon as the man like Moses. So Lehi, he's the man like Moses. He's the Mormon. His people, ooh, crap. Now are you offended? Bye. Thanks for stopping by. Like and subscribe. Share it with your friends. All I got is Mormon crickets. Mormon crickets. And Mormons are running them down. Hilarious. This was so easy, Mormons. So easy. All you had to do was study. And again, the duty of the president of the office of the high priesthood. Hey, that was Joseph Smith. Section 107, verse 91 and 92. Is to preside over the whole church and to be like unto Moses. The head of the church is the Jewish Christ, not Christian. And thus, seer, revelator, translator, and prophet, just like Lehi. He had dreams, visions to be a seer. He gave us a date of the latter days as a revelator. He had knowledge of Paleo-Hebrew and Egyptian for translator, and is described as a prophet, making predictions of the future, having all the gifts of God which he bestows upon the head of the church. And so, story after story after story after story in the Book of Mormon, all is based on this. To teach Mormons of the coming of their Christ. Because the Book of Mormon teaches us about this concept of the Jewish Christ and his coming. 2 Nephi chapter 3, verse 5. Wherefore Joseph of Egypt truly saw our day, seer, having visions and dreams. Remember the story of Joseph of Egypt? And he obtained a promise of the Lord that out of the fruit of his loins, a Messiah ben Joseph, Hey, the Jews talk about him as being the forerunner for the Messiah. So Messiah ben Joseph comes first as a human, mortal human parents, not Trinity, not non-Trinitarian. Whew, that's good, because Christians keep complaining that we treat Joseph Smith as a god. Mormons are not ashamed, are they? And back down when Christians threaten them and deny the Book of Mormon as Jewish. Mormons aren't ashamed, are they? All right, everybody left already. They were ashamed, offended, and left. Just like Christians. Yeah, this is Joseph Smith. We all know this. Verse 15 gives us his name. Joseph Smith is the Messiah. He comes first. And then, to be remembered in the covenants of the Lord, that the Messiah ben David, the man like Moses, the Jewish Christ, Emmanuel, should be made manifest unto Mormons in the latter days. That date that all the Jews talk about for the start of his ministry to Mormons. All right here in the Book of Mormon for you. And then the author goes and repeats seer several times. Hey, and talks about Moses. Isn't that interesting? What a coincidence. Sure, that's just a coincidence. Nothing to see there. So, story after story. You know, you have Lehi leaving, and then Lehi dwelt in a tent. That's the end of the story. A new story starts. They go back to get the brass plates. Brass plates. And so, yes, it's all about the same subject matter, but it's slightly altered. Laban, the treasury of the temple, storehouse. Zoram, Word of God. So you missed those videos, didn't you? When Stanford was studying it, asked for my input. You missed them, huh? Too bad, so sad. The importance of the word getting to Zion. And so the next story after that, gotta get them women. Heavenly eyes, but all that size. She's the one for me. Yep, Ishmael. The name of Yah is the sun god, Emmanuel. Just happens to have the perfect amount of daughters for his sons, and Zoram. And so, seed is gathered to go to Zion. Not their treasures, which were stolen by Laban. They got the brass plates. They've got the word. We'll liken a word unto a seed to produce the tree of life with fruit. And then they get women for seed, egg, baby. See the pattern? And then they exodus again. They get to the promised land. A new story begins. Nephi is now the Christ, the man like Moses. And he builds a ship. And they sail on the ship. No dancing. Let's hear it for the boy. Holding out for a hero. Yeah, holding out for a hero is in that movie, isn't it? That's the tractor chicken race. Made right here in Utah. 7 stages of Kevin Bacon, or the 7 steps of something like that. Whatever it's called. We just did it again with the Book of Mormon. And so, yeah, there was also a Liahona involved. Yeah, all not literal history. If it's supernatural, it's not real. One of those yin-yang, no does. And then once they get to the promised land, they have cows. Because it's literal history, remember? And so, sure enough, again, Laman now wants to murder Nephi and take over the kingdom. So, Exodus to the land of Nephi now. And they build Solomon's temple. Hey, Solomon, the son of David. Messiah ben David, huh? Interesting. And then a temple? Why don't you catch this? Why don't you catch it? And so then you've got some other stuff filling up the 116 pages. And then you have Mosiah. As the words of Mormon talk about Mosiah, and then has a son Benjamin, and then has a son Mosiah. And so Mosiah is the one who leads in the exodus of the people of Nephi, and then get to Zarahemla, and then King Benjamin is the king, and then sure enough, baptism when they get to Zion. Baptism, the name of Christ in Zion after the destruction of Jerusalem, as the people of Mulek likewise was forced in an exodus because they stayed behind and were destroyed. The survivors came to America because it's literal history. But you're offended that it's about Jews, not Christians. Christians in ancient America worshiping Jesus. So ignore the fact that the Zoramites replaced the Jews with Christianity, the Great Spirit. Hey, wait, so did Laman. The Lamanites were Christians. Zoramites were Christians. All the bad people were Christians. That's interesting. Bad people replaced the Jews. They built a synagogue, but then they built the Ramyam-Tum. O Great Spirit, we thank thee that we are better than our brethren as Christian. And thou art holy, and thou art always holy as Christian. Great Spirit. You never caught on to that, did you? Yep. What happened to the Zoramites? Oh, right, destroyed. Just like the second Jerusalem during the Babylonian period, rather than Rome. Yep. Over and over and over again. King Noah murders Abinadi. Then destruction. Exodus. Limhi. He has plates, technically tablets, of the people of Jared. Talks with Ammon. A seer is a prophet and revelator and knows how to translate. And Moses, or Mosiah, is two Hebrew words, names, Moses and Yah, the Hebrew God. Remember Ishmael? Yah. The name of Yah is Sun God, Emmanuel, the man like Moses and Yah, combined together for Mosiah. The man like Moses, the Christ. So, yeah, Abinadi talks about the Ten Commandments. Of who? Christians, right? Thou shalt not have any other Christ but Jesus. The Jewish Christ. But wait, there's a Sabbath day in here. If this is literal history, there shouldn't be a Sabbath day. Those native ancient Indians from Jerusalem should have had the temples open every single day of the week. But they shouldn't even had a week because Babylon created a 7-day week calendar. And thus, the Sabbath day was their number 7, unlucky number 7, for the day of no work. Because it's evil that day. Don't touch it. Stay at home. Lock your doors. Oops. So isn't it interesting that the ancient American Indians don't have a Sabbath day? Error in the Book of Mormon as literal history. Why didn't you Expos catch these? Why did you not believe me when I contributed? Nobody believes the Book of Mormon. Nobody. What the hell? Why do Mormons have the Book of Mormon if they don't believe it? Why are you going around telling everybody it's Christian? Do you honestly think that people are going to read it and go, oh, okay, Jews, thus Jesus? Jesus was a Jew. The Jews just became Christian. It's the same religion. Oh my God. Calgon, where are you? Do they even sell Calgon anymore? Should I take a diversionary tactic and look for Calgon on Amazon? Oh. Calgon. Bath beads. Apparently they do have Calgon. Yep, sure enough. All modernized. Apparently they got some old stuff too, but that's not Calgon. Blue Land. I'm sure it's probably from China. It says it's plastic free. That's scary when you have to advertise that you're plastic free. But Calgon is $5.97. $5.67 if you subscribe and have a save discount. Extra 40% off when you save. Subscribe. And it's Prime, 1 day. Get it tomorrow, April 28th. Or free delivery overnight, 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. on $25 of qualifying items. Oh, they make you pay money in order to get discounts. So yeah, this is laundry detergent. So what happens at the end of the Book of Mormon? They all live happily ever after, singing Kumbaya. Oh, right. Precisely as it stands in our New Testament. Bye-bye, Mormons. Bye-bye. In a coming day. In a coming day.